Hiya YouTubers, this is Superman G coming back at you one more again. And I wanted to let you know that this build I am doing is for a great and worthy cause. I had a former neighbor who used to live next door to me pretty much ever since I moved to where I live in right now. And they were a fantastic couple. Very down to earth. We got along great from the start. We did a lot together. They meant a lot to me. They still do. And some of the nicest people you ever met. Those I wish I had neighbors like those living next to me type of people. And all these years since knowing them, they've moved around from place to place, and they've been doing the best they can. And I'm not going to go into too many details with this, but I just want to get to the point that they are a very tight, close family. They have, with them being married, they have a total of 11 children. That is a lot to handle. So much they have to use a full-size van, a transport van, just to make sure everyone gets from place to place. And the husband's computer, the husband called me and said his computer had died. He was telling me what happened to it. It says about 7 years old, and that's probably not too bad for some, but I really didn't want to mess with something that old. And so without telling him, I decided to do a charity build for him. He likes to video record his family and him doing things together, family things together, which is nice. That's fine. And since his computer died, he uses his GoPro, and it's okay, but he's not able to get or to do all the editing features that he would like to do with the GoPro editing program. So I took it upon myself, and actually Colin Hilton and myself, because I informed him about what I was going to do, and he wanted to help out. So we both got together and we came up with a build, and I put it together, and that's what this video is going to be on, me building that charity build. And I want to share this with you guys, let you know that when you find and you meet those people who make an impact on your life, and you have it in your heart and your mindset to do something nice for them, and it doesn't always have to be about building a new computer. It could be about doing anything, cutting their grass, bringing a trash can to the edge of the road for dumping or take it back. Simple things like that can make a big difference in someone's life. And that's all I want to do, is just help this family out, because in my mind I think they deserve it. And so that's what this build is going to be. And without further ado, we're off to the build. So starting things off, we're going to drop in an Asus TUF Z390 Plus gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. And then we're going to have a Corsair CX Series CX750 watt power supply that's going to power it up. Next, we're going to have the 9th generation Intel Core i5 unlocked i5 9600K CPU processor. We're going to put in a Samsung 500GB 970 EVO Plus NVMe drive. Graphics card, we're going to put in a Sapphire Plus Radeon RX 580. We're going to drop in 16GB of G.Skill Trident Z Royal Silver memory, 3200 megahertz. We're going to roll all that into this Meshify C case by Fractal. This case has a mesh front end with 2 fans, one in the front and one in the rear. And that's the build that we are going to complete for this charity. Okay, so the first thing that I am going to do is prep the motherboard. Open this up. Here is the lovely altruistic motherboard, and I'm going to have to figure out how to get inside that thing. So we got some documentation here, certificate of reliability, user's guide, along with the driver's CD or DVD. Got some cool gold and black stickers. Here's some more advertisement for Cable Mod, I guess. The manual. M.2 screws. These we cannot lose. And the backplate I/O shield for the motherboard. Now then, time for the unwrapping of the motherboard. And there she be in all her glory. Now I could just discard that. So here we be, and I could start with making sure I get it turned in orientation to where you're looking at it as the same direction as I am looking at it. So there's no confusion as to orientation or direction. So this is where we're going to put our memory, our 32 gigs of memory. Here's where we're going to be putting our processor, and our M.2 can either go here or here. Preferably I like putting it behind the heat shield, but it doesn't matter. They're both M.2. They can either be SATA 3 or they can be NVMe. NVMe definitely, because if you use SATA, you're going to lose some of your SATA ports on your board, and we don't want to be doing that. Okay, out of all the parts that I've shown, I forgot one critical part, and the motherboard probably wouldn't go too far. Actually, the processor probably wouldn't go too far without it, and that's this. I need a cooler, and I'm going to be using the Syfusion 5 Reversion B air cooler. So this will help with the cooling process. This thing is actually heavier than it looks, but it's a big box, but it's actually heavy. So that's what I'm going to be using to keep things cool on the processor. Since the M.2 is going to be down here, we could probably start with that first. And I will commence with what I term as the drilling. I want to make sure that this particular drill has a ratcheting system on it. I actually got this drill when I went to computer class. Screwdriver. I actually got a screwdriver when I went to my computer class back in 2004. And this is what they gave us as shop supplies, if you will. And it's kind of cool. It's got a, you can actually angle the end how you want it. So it's kind of it's an old technology type, but it still works for what I needed to do. I've got other tools, but you know, this is more convenient because it comes in a case where all the parts I need, or the tools I need. Oops. This is what happens when you do not have a magnetized screwdriver. And I probably need to run that through my magnetizer. So I take this off, and there should be some thermal pad covering here, as you can see, and we'll take that off after we put the M.2 drive on there. Get it out, and here it is. 500 gigabytes of pure blazing fast storage. Okay, enough of that. And we're going to take this cover off. You know, I made a big mistake. I didn't eat before I started this, but I will be alright. I will be alright. So, now, take our finger and pull this out of the box. And the part that you want to insert is the one that has a little notch on the end of it. And that's the part that, the notch right there, that's the part that you want to insert into the motherboard NVMe slot. Now, some motherboards have them reversed to where this slot is actually on this end. If it is, then you just simply orientate the drive to wherever the notch is. But you want to make sure you pull in the right direction. And on the motherboard, the slot does have the notch, so you just line up the notch on the NVMe drive along with the notch on the interface on the motherboard. And you're going to slide it in at an angle. So you're going to come in until you don't see any gold. You might have to do a little wiggle with it until you don't see any gold teeth. And it's going to stick up like that. Diving board. That's it. Then you're going to take the screws that were in the bag, which this bag is a little, this bag is very tough to open, and I don't mind that, except when I'm trying to work on building a computer. But that's also a good thing because you don't have to worry about the stuff coming out and running all over the place, or you know, then you're gonna be looking like a drug addict trying to find his last pill or crack on the floor, on the ground. Some of us call them, see, this screw just fell out. And I'm glad I didn't embarrass myself by looking on the ground trying to find this screw. ASUS actually gave 2 of these, standoff and an M.2 screw. So that's actually pretty good. To find out where this standoff goes, you can usually put that in, and wherever the hole that it lines up at, that's where you will put the standoff. Now, you can actually take this back out, this drive back out, and then you know where your standoff is going to go. And you can actually finger tighten this down. You don't need a screwdriver or anything like that. The screwdriver is just for when you need to get the screw in there. And just finger tighten it down. Okay. Now you can place the drive in the slot. Like so. Now we can take the screw, the very small mounting screw. My magnetizer is here. This is my magnetizer demagnetizer, and this thing works wonders. You can get this off Amazon, Newegg, wherever you want to shop to get your things from, and you can basically just stick it in a hole like that. Either hole, either way it goes, and it'll magnetize your screwdriver. As you can see, it just picked up the screw. This will just make sure that the screw, because this screw is so small, it's actually getting out of my hand. So now it should be easier to screw this down. Make sure I don't want to put it in there crooked or the wrong way. This is a kind of tricky situation, and my hands are not the most steadiest either. But I think I've gotten it. And that's it. You don't have to tighten it down too much. As long as it's there, it's just to hold it. So, there. 500 gigabytes of storage. Now, we can reattach the thermal unit, or the cover. And I want to make sure I get the orientation is right, which I believe it went this way, but I think it also went this way. Let me check. Yeah, I think it went that way. So it would appear that this can go either way, the way they have it. If you want to go this way with it, you can. So I just want to make certain. I believe it goes this way because the thermal pad has this gap, and then there's this gap right here. So let me see. That may not be right. Okay, no, it's this way. It's this way. All right, so I'm going to take off the cover and thermal pad. And it just peels right off. And then from there, just place it right on. Now there's no stick to it. It just goes right back on the right back on top of the heat shield. Actually, it feels like there is a stick, and that's very different because there's usually not a stick associated with these things. But I guess in this case, there may be. Change out my bits and change the. So now I want to drill this back. Just gonna get it started. One side and get the other side started. And gotta make sure that's going in there right, which I don't think it is. Is it going there right? No, that's not. I think I missed it. And I see that I did miss it. I missed a hole. Let's try that again. And I think that's it. Let's see. Let's make sure. No, that's not it either. I hope I got this in the right orientation. I'm gonna have to get my Fred Sanford glasses. And try this again. Okay, now we got something going on. Now it's going. Okay, that's done. Now to finish the other side. Okay, we're all done. Cool. That's out of the way. Now, next thing we're going to do is we are going to install the processor. And along with the processor, we are going to install the cooler. And then we're going to install the memory. I want to do the memory last because I want to leave room for me to be able to work with placing a cooler on here. So there's some, actually there's also, if you buy this drive, this particular drive, there's also documentation that comes with this drive, and it's on the bottom, which can be a little difficult to get out. So this is documentation for the drive, things like that, instructions, things like that. So, but it's not that hard to install, as you can see. It's just really simple. So we're gonna put all this stuff back in here, and that's that. So now, actually, before we continue, I wish to put, let me take this, put this off to the side. I want to go ahead, while it's on my mind, put the screw back in the box so I do not lose it. I may actually take that and put it in a Ziploc bag, because it's probably, the screw will probably most likely fall out of that bag. So I'll do that. I'll take care of that later. So let's get this back on here, and processor. This is the Intel Core i5, 9th generation, 9600K. This is 3.7 gigahertz, 9 megabytes cache of pure power. So let's get this unlocked. Actually, let's get out the box, and then we can get it unlocked. So now, some of these boxes can be very difficult to get into at times. So I'm going to try to be as gentle with this as I can. And this is installation instructions. It also comes with a 3-year limited warranty. Here is the star of the show. This is what the chip looks like. Here's the back. So you don't want to be touching this when you get it out the box, when you get it out of this casing. You don't want to be touching that. You want to hold it by the sides, or you can even hold it at the corners. But you don't want to hold it. You don't want to be touching the back side of this right here. Okay. This is the area where we're going to be placing it. So to get this unlocked or unhinged, you're going to take this lever right here. You're going to push it to the right and open it up. This retention lever is what it's called. There. Do not touch this area. You touch this area here, you could damage the board, but you do not want to be touching this area. You touch that area, you damage the board, you void your warranty. You got to pay for a new board all over again. So you don't want to touch that area. So I'm going to back out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So you're going to take your processor, and you don't want to bend the processor to get it out the package. There's a little notch right here, and that's where you're going to put your fingers in to open up the package. Make sure that the processor is actually, and there's actually a little arrow. You probably can't see it in the picture, but there's a little arrow right there, and that shows you which direction to open up this casing. So you want to make sure that the processor is actually on the bottom of the package when you open it up. Now, also from here, you can actually see a little gold arrow right there. You see that? That gold arrow indicates the orientation of where it goes on the motherboard. And you're going to look for that same arrow on the motherboard. Now, it may be an arrow, it may be a dot. I mean, they are changing things on us with this. So when you take this out the case, you're going to grab it from the side, which is why these indentations are right here. You want to be careful to grab it from the side. Once you grab it from the side, you want to hold it on the side. Now, from here, you can hold it on any side that you wish. This side, you can hold it this side. It doesn't matter. You just want to make sure that you do not touch the bottom of the chip. Okay? So, once you locate the indentation or the arrow on the motherboard, in this case, it's right here. I believe there's a little dot right there. It's kind of hard to really see because it seems like it blends in with the graphics on the motherboard. But I'm going to see if I can zoom you in so you can see. I'm going to put this processor down. We're going to see if I can zoom you in so you can see exactly what I'm talking about or where it is I'm pointing to. Okay, and I'm going to have to flip this so I can see where I'm looking. Oh, I'm losing my focus. Let's go right. Alright, so do you see this little dot right here? It's kind of hard to see. It's a little dot right there. It's right there. That little dot. That indicates which direction that arrow on the chip goes, because there are 4 corners, so you're not sure which. You're not going to be sure which direction to put in. You want to put it in the right direction. So that indicates which way the chip is supposed to go. So once again, I'm going to take my chip out, and I am going to hold it by the sides. Now, even if you do try to put the chip on the socket incorrectly, it's just going to sit there. It doesn't sit flush. It doesn't seat itself on the placement. So whatever you do, do not wiggle the chip if you don't have it in the right place. If it doesn't sit when you place it on there, that's not right. You're not in the right orientation. So you can, from there, you're going to turn the chip until you get it in the right place. And once you do, it should sit right in place. Now, it actually did that. You probably heard it, but it was probably kind of tough to know. Another thing to know, that you have 2 notches on this interface as well. So there's a notch here and there's a notch here, which is actually cut out on the chip itself. So you can probably see it, one here and one here. So once that's in place, then that should be an indication that you have the chip in the right orientation. Okay. Once you got the chip in the right orientation, if you do a little wiggle, not a whole lot, but if you do a little wiggle and it doesn't move, that means the chip is inserted correctly. Once you do that and you have that, you're going to come back to this retention lever. Let me back you out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, and turn it up a little bit. You're going to come over here to the retention lever. Now when you pull this down, there's going to be a lot more tension. Okay. Resistance, I would say. Okay, you want to make sure that this goes under that screw. This little whatever hook goes under this mounting screw right here. Okay, so you're gonna take it and you're gonna push it down. When I push this down, this should pop up, this cover, and when this cover pops up, it'll pop up, or it'll at least come loose. So I'm gonna press it down and I'm gonna turn it. As you can see, it popped up. And you want to have this to where, there. Save this. Do not throw this away. If you ever have to return the motherboard back for motherboard warranty or repair, make sure you take your chip out and place this back in the place of where it was. If you don't, and those pins get damaged, your warranty is voided and you are out of luck. I don't know why I'm not liking the way that this. I'm not liking the way that this cover. And I'm gonna back you out. I'm not liking the way this cover is on here, and I think I have it turned the wrong way. So I'll tell you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take that out and I'm gonna change it around and see how it does, because it's at an angle. It's at a weird angle when I look at it from the bottom, and I think I may have it turned the wrong way. So I'm gonna change that around. I just want to make sure I don't install anything incorrectly, and you know, because I took this off and I didn't really pay attention to the orientation of where it was, it's a bit what looks like it's at an angle, and I may have put this on the wrong way. Um, so let me try putting it this way. And another thing is that there's a metal, if you can see it, there's a metal end on this one, where this one doesn't have a metal end. So I believe this is supposed to angle this up to where it's level and not at that weird looking angle that it was at. So I'm just going to set it on top for right now and just look at it from the bottom and see how it looks. Yes, it's actually level now. Okay, so I did have it on the wrong way. You are going to make mistakes. I don't care how long you've been a technician. I don't care how long you've been working around computers. Eventually, you know, it's just, that's just part of the game. No matter what profession you're in, you are going to make mistakes. Whether you're building cars, repairing cars, you are going to make mistakes. You don't want to damage your components. So you really just want to be as careful as you can with them. And you don't want to damage something, then you gotta, you know, order another one, or then there's a delay in that. Make sure I have this tightened. Okay. Now, yeah, that looks much better. You see how it's leveled? Before it was at an angle. It was like this was actually tilted, and this was kind of up. So, yeah, you want to pay attention to detail with something like that. So, but it's okay. We got it. We got it fixed. So, if anyone decides, if you decide to get this board, make sure that you pay attention to the orientation of which way it goes. I've never installed this cooler before. I've had my best friend, he installed a cooler on his build that I actually, he has his build on his channel, but I actually have, I video recorded his and it's on his channel. So if you go back to my video page on YouTube, the title of it will be A Little Something to Come, and there should be a link showing you or directing you to his web page where he has his video of where he built his very first computer, and he did a good job. I mean, for someone who's never built a computer, he did a very good job. And it's not that difficult if you know how to turn a screwdriver, which this particular product it does. It comes with its own screwdriver, which is a plus. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. And if you know how to turn your screwdriver, then you know hooking a computer up is easy. If you know how to use a screwdriver, if you know how to connect a male and female end together, it's easy. It's not hard. So also in this box, you come with the fan. These are the brackets and the back plate that come with it, the standoffs, and the attachment hooks for the fan that attaches it to the radiator of the cooler. So you always want to make sure all your parts are included. All right, let me stop talking because I know that can get a little out of the way. All right, hang on. Fruit fly, don't bother me. Okay, that's everything out of the box, and this is what it looks like. It looks like a radiator. Very pretty, isn't it? And silvery. So, don't touch this bottom. Now, some of these coolers will come with their own thermal paste. In this case, this one didn't, but you still don't want to touch this area until you're ready to actually place it on top of the processor. And that's after you've placed thermal paste or thermal compound on the top of the processor. Don't just place this on top of the processor because it may work, but you're going to be getting a lot of heat issues, and you could actually damage the processor because there's nothing drawing the heat away from the processor. So keep this on until we're actually ready to place this on top. Okay, this is the thermal compound that you can put on the bottom of the heat sink or the cooler. So I actually have some, but I'll just use whatever came with it. These are the standoffs. These are the fan holders. And these are the brackets that are used. These are for AMD, which we won't use. These are for Intel, which we will use. And then this is the back plate for the processor. For the cooler. Get it right. So this we will use. Of these 3 holes that I placed these screws in, because it depends on which processor type that you have that the screws go in these screws. So, and I am going to need the instructions. So all you do is look on the installation guide, and it says Intel here, and these are the parts that you should use for your Intel. This is socket 2011. That does not apply to us. Aha, here we are. Intel 115X, which could be 1151, 1157, whatever it is. So this is where we need to be. And as you can see, it's saying the back plate right here. It's saying for those 3 holes. Let's see, I just want to make sure I line this up correctly. You can see it. We need to be using the hole that's in the back. So that means that we have to use the hole that's, it's kind of tough to see. I'm trying to see if I can get it to catch the light. That 3rd hole, the one that's in the back, that's the hole that we have to use to mount it. Need these screws. I need 4 of them. Now I have 3. I have 4. I need 1 more. According to this, I need to use the long ones. Those are the screws that I need to use. Where am I? Right here. Okay. It says those are the long screws I need to use right there. So that's what we're going to be, which is this screw right here. This is the long one. Now I am going to have to set this up so I can install the back plate to it. So whenever you lifting up this motherboard, try to lift it up by this heat cover or this I/O cover, and that way you're not really touching the board. If you have to touch the board, make sure you touch it by the edges. Try not to touch any of the components. When you flip it around to the back to install a back plate, be careful not to touch these soldered ends. They are very sharp and they can actually cut you. So you want to be careful about not touching those. So I am going to take the back plate here and I'm going to just place it on the, and if you're not sure which side goes where, there are rubber grommets. See the rubber on the edge of it? The rubber goes against the motherboard. That's to keep the metal off the metal. So if you're confused as which side goes which, just remember the rubber portion of this back plate goes onto the motherboard. And when you place it on there, and this is the tricky part, because I'm going to need to be able to grab the screws that I need to get in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put this on here and see if I can get this through the hole. It's kind of hard to see. if this was something that I had been doing for a long while, this may not be that bad. You always want to try to venture for new avenues. And I think it's gotten a hold of the back plate. And I just got to screw that. I just want to make sure it catches. Okay. I just want to make sure it catches because it just came off. It was right there. So once you get it, this is probably one of the trickiest parts of it because you got to make sure you get it in the right place. You want to make sure you screw it in the right hole, because if you don't, then you'll have to start all back over, and that can be a bit of a pain. Press a little hard to try to get the back plate to actually connect with the screw. Okay, so this one is actually it's started. Once you get that started, don't tighten it down, just grab another one and start in the opposite corner. And once you start in the opposite corner, everything else is going to fall in line. And I know you can't see it, so let me turn it to where, and let me see if I can get you in a little tighter so you can actually see what it is that I'm actually doing. The screw is right. Let me tilt it down. Here's a screw right here, and here's a back plate. And as you can see, the screw is there. Actually, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. So it's not hard. It just may take a little more work. Okay, got that started, and then the other two, which I can see right through the holes, are lined up already. So all I got to do is just screw these in and get them started. Now that feels fine. Okay, there we go. Now it's flush. Now it's flush. Alright, we'll tighten down the rest when we go to tighten everything else down. Now we can go ahead and install these brackets. They also have these little slots where there are multiple holes that are involved on both sides. As you can see, hole there, hole there, hole there. So now you have to go back to your documentation. You have to figure out which one of those holes do you use. We are to use, here's 1155 right here, and we are to use, looks like the center hole. So we have the 775, the 1155, and the 1366. So these brackets have to be where this bridge is actually up, not this way. If it's down, it's the wrong way, so you have to tilt it up. And then you're going to use, according to this, we are going to use the 1155, which is the center hole. It's probably hard to see, but it's actually a center hole right in the middle there. So that's the one we're going to use. So we are going to, and another thing to watch for is that you have to be mindful of where this bracket goes, because some persons may want to put the bracket here. That's not where it goes. Some persons may want to put the bracket here. That's not where it goes. You're not going to go this way. You're going to go this way, because the cooler is going to mount this direction. Okay? And you want to have these indentations facing toward the processor. So if it was this side, you want this end facing towards the processor. These are the 4 screws that you are going to be using. These are the 4 screws right here that you're going to be using. So now that we have the screws, we can go ahead and start tightening things down. And you want to make sure, as I've said before, so now you want to make sure that you got that middle section that you're going to drill, that you're going to put these screws in. Now this bracket is going to move on you as long as you make sure that before you tighten them down, before you tighten down its bracket, you get into that center screw hole. Just one thing about building your own computer, you just want to take your time with it. You don't have to rush it. You just want to make sure that you get things done correctly. And if you do, then you can have a, your computer will be a successful build. And if you have to leave to go take care of something, like you have to leave the board, the computer here for whatever reason, it's like you have to go to the bathroom or walk across carpet. When you come back, make sure you touch this part of the board. Back it up a bit. Make sure you touch this part of the board. That'll help ground you or discharge any static electricity that you may have picked up as you walked across carpet or you went to the bathroom or whatever it was. Don't immediately start touching the board when you come back, because if you do have static electricity, you could shorten things out on the board or send electric shock through it. Now, the chance of it happening very minimal, but once again, you don't want to take that chance. So just make sure that you touch something to discharge any static electricity that you may have picked up. I think in a case such as this, you'd rather be safe than sorry. So it'd probably just be well worth it to just go ahead and do that than not take the chance. Okay, now we're just going to tighten these down. And you always want to do opposite corners when you're tightening things down. That should be good enough. You don't want to tighten it too tight, because if you do, you could once again strip the heads off or break something. Last, you have to apply, bam, the thermal compound. With that, I am going to grab a glove. Yes, a glove, because gloves can keep your hands from getting tainted and soiled with the material that we are going to use. So, you're going to take your thermal compound, thermal grease, whatever you want to call it. You do not, I repeat, you do not have to use a lot of this. And you're just going to put a small amount, like a teardrop or maybe even what's called a pea size. You can put it anywhere on the processor, it doesn't matter. Now, there are several ways that you can apply this. Everyone has their different ways. Learn this from this particular application from a friend. Gosh, that was very hard to do, and I hope that's not too much. It looks like it may be too much, but it won't hurt anything. Okay, let me get you in a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, can you see that? Let's get it centered and get you up there. Okay, there you bury. Now, I'm going to take my finger and it doesn't matter, this finger, this finger, this, okay, one finger. And I'm just going to basically do a painting method. Now I could probably just leave that on there and it'll probably work fine. It'll work fine. But that's not how some of we techs do it. So I'm going to do a finger paint. This thing actually feels a little tough, like it's nearly dry, but that may be me. And you want to just cover the entire surface area of the chip, and that's just to make sure that the all of the area is covered. Okay, that's it. That's all you got to do, and then you're done. Now I can remove the glove. Now that thermal grease or thermal compound, whatever you want to call it, is applied, next all we have to do is place the cooler on top. Oh, I'm a little nervous about this because I just hope those screws are all in the right place. If they're not, oh boy. Well, that's part of it. Part of being a technician, mistakes happen. So, here is our massive radiator. So we're going to take this part, we can go ahead and take the sticker off now and just peel that off. Okay. Peel that off. Now, which way does the radiator go? I'm glad you asked that question. So, what you have to realize is that you're going to have your sticks of memory right here. Okay? And when these memories are here, it may impede on the screws or even the radiator or even a fan for that case. So, Syed has gone a step further by giving you an indication that this side, I'll see if I can show it. If you can see this screw right here, it kind of juts out versus this screw in right here where it doesn't jut out. And the part that juts out, or the part where the radiator is actually more indented, this is the part that goes towards the memory module section, because it's going to allow you to put your memory here and not have this impede on the application of it. So with that, you are going to set it right on top. Don't worry about trying to get the screws in there right now. And you just place it on top like so. And it is on there. You don't have to press it down or anything like that. That radiator has actually got some weight to it. So, then you're going to use the included screwdriver that Syed has given, that you paid for, and you're going to start with the drilling. I like to call it drilling. Start with the drilling process. So you want to start with this side first, probably get a few turns there, and then you want to come on the other side. You want to alternate between your drilling. That way it will get mounted evenly, and you won't have to worry about any angles where it's, you may get to where it's like this may be angled up from this, but it'll get seated a lot more evenly when you do it this way. So it's going to make a few turns on one end and turns on the other end. Come back and start the other end. And then that's tight. Oops. And then that's tight. And that is it for the mounting of the cooler. And that's all to it. And now you can pick it up this way. Just make sure all that stuff is mounted correctly. And it kind of looks that way. Looks like everything is mounted correctly. Alright. That's it. Now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now we have to attach the fan. Here's the fan. Let me get us out a little more so we can get a better view of what we're looking at. So here's the fan. Now, which direction does the fan go, you ask? That's a good question. Always know that this bracket portion here is always going to be facing out. Okay, so this part here is actually going to suck air in. This is the non-protective side, I like to call it. So this part faces, if you're going to be installing this particular cooler, remember the unprotected side is always going to be facing the part of the memory modules or the front of the computer, and the bracket side is going to be facing the back of the computer. Or this, so basically this is going to be sucking air in, cool air in, and then it's going to blow against this radiator and it's going to blow the air out. So you also want to make certain that this, as a matter of fact, I gotta change this out because this wire part right here is not ideal for leaving inside a computer. Some people may think it's okay, but do note that if this gets, it's going to get hot in here, and throughout the many days, months, weeks, years that it gets hot, this is going to eventually erode off and parts could fly. And there's metal in here, and if there's metal flying around in here, it can make contact with something and short something out on your board, and you could damage your computer. So use nylon zip ties. You can get those at any place, Walmart, Ace, Home Depot, wherever it is that you get your supplies from. So, but before I take that off, you want to make certain that you have this cable near where the port of the fan header is. In this case, the fan header is always closest to the processor. It's usually up by the memory control modules. So in this case, there are two. There's one here and there's one here. But if you look on a motherboard, and I'm going to try to zoom in and show you where it says, if you look on a motherboard, it will actually show you where or what it looks like. And if the focus, come on, focus. I'm going to bring it out a little bit. Okay. Now, do you see where there it says CPU opt and CPU fan? That tells you what these headers are. So the one down here is CPU opt and CPU fan is there. So the optional means that you can attach actually another fan to this cooler if you decided to. And that's where we're going to be plugging the fan's power cable into. Okay. So we first need to get the fan orientated in the direction that we're going to place. And you want to try to have this closest to where it where the connection is. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this off because I don't want to forget and leave it on there. So let me just take it off and get that on. Alright, so we are going to place it here on top, and it falls right in there. It'll fall right in these little grooves. And as you can see, it's actually just sitting there without any assistance from me. We need two of these brackets, these fan holders that we have. And you're just going to, because the way that it's going to clip on is going to clip on to the heat sink or the radiator right here on this groove right here. So you want to make sure that these are facing, I think it's facing this way, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's this way. And you want to put the hooks right in the hole right there. Right in those holes. And if I got it facing the wrong way, I'm going to find out real fast. Get it hooked into these holes. You'll feel them. You'll feel it there. You'll feel it go in there. And then you're going to do the next one. There. Now, probably hear it popping them again. Now that we have the clips on, we are going to now mount it. I'm going to have the fan going, the cable going this direction, so it'll be easier for it to come on. You can mount it any way you want, just that you're going to have a hard time trying to get that cable all the way over there. So you want to have the cable as close to that header as possible. So we're going to slide this into the groove. And once you do, you're going to take the fan clip and you're basically going to pull it into, and you'll feel it snap into place. There. That one snapped. And the other one, pull that. There. That's it. Your fan is installed. We're going to take the part that has the clip. There's two little nudges here, and those are going to orientate you on which direction this fan supply cable or power cable goes in. So there's like a little hatch or a little notch on the motherboard, and that's the part that's going to go on the same end as the notches on this power cable. And once you get it lined up, you just push it straight on. Boom. That's it. That's all you do. Okay. Now I'm going to get a nylon zip tie and tie that cable up. And I missed. Look, I missed. This is something that's a work in progress, and so just take your time and pay attention to what you're doing, and before you know it, you will have completed the zip tying of your power cable. Boom. It's done. Wow. We're almost done, party people. We are almost done. Now we're going to install the memory. This is very attractive memory, if I should say so myself. And I actually used this in my computer build back in 2019. And it's very fast. I haven't had any issues with it. But when you open it up, you have the Go Faster sticker, G.Skill Go Faster sticker. And then you have this cloth that, I don't know, I guess if you want to keep the memory as some type of memento or something like that, you're not going to be installing the memory, you use this as a cloth where you can wipe it off, the dust, and here's the memory. Isn't that pretty? Shiny, isn't it? They also make this in a gold color. The gold is very flashy, and I didn't see really attraction to it. And it's actually a little more, so I didn't care for it. And you want to grab the memory once again by the sides. You can actually grab it by the heat spreader. Do not touch the gold end or the gold teeth of the memory. Anything that has gold teeth, you don't want to touch it, because your oils of your skin or dirt or any other contaminants, if they get on here, they may interfere with the operation of the memory. Kind of highly unlikely, but you just don't want to touch it. So And you also want to make sure that you get any, there's usually some plastic that's on here, and you just want to make sure there's no plastic on here. I think I kind of feel plastic. Yes, I feel it. There it is. The plastic is coming off. Do not leave the plastic on there, whatever you do. If you do, things going to get hot, and next thing you know, you could have an issue with smells, and you might even get something that can, this I don't know if it would, but this could even cause smoke. But I don't think it's going to get to that point, but you'll probably just get a smell from it. But make sure you take the plastic off. Don't leave plastic on anything. Once again, the memory can go in either one of these banks, but if you're only installing two, then you want to make sure, if you look, these are, they're coded, they're color coded. So this is gray and this is like a black, and it jumps every other socket. So gray, it skips here, gray. Black starts here, skips here, and it's black. So they're opposites. And if you're going to be installing memory, if you have 4 memory sticks, it doesn't matter. You can install them on in all of them, and it's not going to matter. But if you only have 2 sticks of memory, you're going to make sure you either install it in a stick in a gray and a stick in a gray, or a stick in a black and a stick in a black. Don't put one in the gray and the black, because it's not going to work. You have to use it in colored order. So gray to gray, black to black. Now there is a notch on the memory slots, and it's basically in the middle. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me see if I can get you in closer. Yes. You see this little notch right here? That gives you indication as to how the memory is supposed to get applied or aligned on the motherboard. So, and as you can see, there's a notch right there on the memory module. So when you place this on the motherboard and you get it in the correct order, just remember that the next memory stick that you use is going to go in the same area. So if it lines up to where the words here or the label is facing towards the front of where the computer is, then the next stick is going to face the same direction. And that's the best way. If it's the other way, where the stick or the label is on the opposite direction, then just know that the next memory module is going to be facing in the opposite direction as well. That's the best way to know about when it's orientated. Orientate to make sure that the memory module lines up with the notch. And if it does, you don't have to put it in there, but if you notice that if you put it right here, it's off, it's not correct. So you just turn the memory around, and it doesn't matter which one of these banks you use. You can use the black on black or the gray. It does not matter. It's just up to you, whichever one you want to use. So considering the fan is here, we're going to use the gray slots. So I'm going to start in the back, and you want to make sure you get these sides, the sides of this memory, right into the sides of where the memory module, the memory slots are. So you're going to just slide it in the middle. You take your time with this step. There's no rush. You'll feel it go in. If it doesn't feel like it's going in, just take it out and back it out. And right now, I believe I had it orientated correctly or incorrectly. Make sure you pay attention to where that slot is, that middle piece is on the board. Line it up with your memory. If it's not right, take it out, rotate it around, and try it again. Once you realize that it's in correctly, the orientation, you're going to push down with your thumbs on the left and the right, or the right or left, it doesn't matter, but you should hear 2 clicks or 2 snaps. So when you go to the left, you should hear click, to the right, click. That's one 16 gigabyte memory module installed. Once again, this has the label facing this way. This one has a label facing the opposite because you don't see it. So you're just going to take the memory, rotate it around. Alright, and you're going to slide it in the next gray slot. Line it up. Line up the sides with the hole. You're going to push down on the left, push down on the right. And there it is. And that's it. You have 32 gigabytes of memory installed. Close the two that you did not use, two latches, and that's it. Your motherboard is now prepped. Everything is installed. We are now going to mount the motherboard to the computer case. Now I can concentrate on getting this case prep for the motherboard installation. So first thing I want to do is take off this glass panel, and these thumb screws are usually all it takes. Just make sure you remember where you set these. So always make sure that you hold on to this when you take it off. Power supply is going to go down here. This actually is a nice case. I was thinking about this case, and I had a decision between this and another case, and the more and more I looked at, this is actually the first fractal case I've ever built into, and I'm not a big fan of fractal. Some of the designs are nice, but then there's usually there's no such thing as a perfect case. You're usually going to find some flaws with it, or a flaw, but when you find that case that fits your desires, it can be, in your mind, in your opinion, the perfect case. There's going to be some RGB in the motherboard. The RAM is RGB, so that'll be some lighting effect for him to be able to play around with and admire. But with that said, let me take this other side panel off so we can see what's on the other side. And this is on here pretty good. I am going to need a driver. Now I must say that and these screws are captured, so they're not going to come completely out, and that's fine. I got no problem with that. But this is the first time I've actually built a computer without music, and I know a lot of people don't like that. Some people don't, but I didn't want to do it in narration during my first build, and to me, I just thought music would be better. So I decided to, go at a different approach with this. And here's the back of it. And it doesn't look that bad. I mean, they've got cable straps here, which I think is a nice touch. I think when I saw that, I was nearly sold. These rubber grommets, there's plenty of access holes here. You have access holes here on the top. I'll tell you what, if you're looking for a case that doesn't need an optical drive, this is probably going to be a good case. So, hey, and it wasn't that much. I don't remember what the price of it was. But if you go to Newegg and search for it, I don't think it was that much. But this is actually, it doesn't have RGB, doesn't have any of that glow effect or anything, glowing effect or anything like that. But so far, it's actually not that bad of a case. And if this case, I'm attracted to it. I will tell you that. This is these are the screws that you need for mounting the motherboard to the case. Right here is for the center post for the motherboard. So when you drop the motherboard in here, this should fit right into the center hole of the motherboard. So standoff should be in here. Oh, here's a diagram layout of what all what's in the box here. So that's actually a pretty nice touch. That's very different. I've never seen that before. Usually it's like a cardboard box, no design or labeling on it, and you just have to actually open it up to and that's it for the box. Here are the standoffs right here. These are what I need. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, these are the motherboard screws, which are different from the screws that I remember where they resembled the planet Saturn because they had a ring around them. I/O shield. That's what I was looking for, and I have to place that in before I even get the motherboard mounted. Now, which way does the backplate go inside the motherboard? That's a very good question. When you look at this backplate, the part that shows, if you have these grounding straps, they're called, they're actually poking out. Okay, these are grounding straps. If you can feel those, then that means that this part faces inside, because if it's facing out, then you're gonna get yourself stuck and things like that. So consider this to be something that goes on the inside of the case, because you're not going to be touching it. And then the outside is where you will see a lot of your labels, like, you know, your SS for your super speed USB, your marking indications for your keyboard and mouse. These are indications that this is the part of the faceplate, or the I/O shield rather, that faces out. It's going to face the outside of the case facing you. So if you're looking at the computer to try to plug something in, you have these indications that show you how to do it. Now you're probably wondering, well, which way does it go? Does it go up or does it go down? I mean, okay, another indication, your audio, which is down here. There's going to be your speaker, microphone, and other inputs as well. This is always, they're always round. This is always going to go towards the bottom. No matter what anybody else says, this is always going to go towards the bottom. Okay, now this can be a difficult install because it's friction fit, which means you have to use the force to push it in its place. So you want to bring it in, make sure you have it in the correct orientation. One of the things you want to make certain while you're installing is to make sure that the fan cable to the rear fan does not get in your way, because it will. And that it'll probably try twice to get in your way when you're installing the I/O shield and when you're installing the motherboard. So just be careful that it does not get in your way. Alright, once you get it in place, that's the good thing about taking the other side cover off, because you can actually reach in the other side to put in the I/O shield. So you're going to get it aligned, and once you get it aligned on both upper and bottom, all you're going to do is, when you push it in, you'll hear it start making these clicking sounds as you're putting it in. And this could be one of the most difficult areas for anyone, because it's something that takes trial and error. And as you can hear it clicking in place, that means you're installing it correctly. Be careful when you are installing these, because those points I was telling you about that go on the inside, they can stick you. So be careful that you're only pushing in on the sides of the I/O shield and not necessarily the inside of the the middle portion of it, where the grounding straps are. Okay, and that's actually it. It's already in there. You can keep going, if you want to make sure it's in there, but you can actually see or even feel that it's in there correctly, and it's done. Once that's done, you are now ready to mount the motherboard. So here's the power supply, the Corsair CX series, CX750, 750 watt power supply, and this is what I'm going to be using. And like I said, I don't know what's going on. All the power supplies were selling out like crazy, and I barely got this one. But if you go to the manufacturer's website, like if I would have gone to Corsair's website, I would have found some that I would have been able to purchase. But usually, when you go to the manufacturer's website, the products are usually more expensive because you're ordering it direct and they kind of price gouge and blah 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 blah. So now I have to open this thing up. There. Important information. What does it say? Ah, who cares? It's all going to tell you, be careful, do not electrocute yourself or anything like that. What they do, you give you some zip ties. That's a nice touch. Power supply cable that you plug into the wall. Now, this is not a modular or fully modular power supply, considering that I didn't want the people or that is going to, or the person that is going to misplace this box and lose those cables. So I felt it my personal preference to get him a non-modular power supply. So, and with the shroud, it's going to hide all those cables. So that's another reason why I decided to go with the non-modular power supply. Wow, lots and lots of cables. So let's go ahead and take this plastic off. You gotta kind of work around all these cables, and they can be a monster. You know, silicone gel or something that, hey, you want some? Me neither. I'm hungry, but I'm not that hungry. Now we have to get this off, and whew, boy, I tell you, this just looks so intimidating. I mean, gosh. There's some hard drive cages back here too. I don't know if I mentioned, but they're tucked away back in here. But see, there's one and there's two. So it does have hard drive cages. Let's turn this around and we're going to take out these screws. My lazy Susan doesn't want to be lazy today. She's all over the place. Once again, these are capture screws, so they're going to stay inside of the bracket here. And then from there, now, which way does the power supply go? This way or this way? Well, you have to consider that this fan is for cooling. You don't want the fan sucking heat into heat. You want it to suck cool into heat. Or you want it to blow heat out as it's sucking cool air in. Now, that should answer your question as to which direction this fan goes. There's a filter down here on the bottom. And there's a grill down here. And that's going to bring cool air in, which means that this end here, the fan is going to bring the cool air in and blow the heat out through this grill right here. So the fan should be on the bottom. Earlier computer cases, say back in the 90s, used to have the power supply up at the top. As technology evolves, they figured, well, we'll put the power supply on the bottom. And so, you know, because heat rises. Since heat rises, you don't need your power supply on the top because now you're causing your power supply to get hot. Now it's exhausting the air out through the back and it's sucking air in, but the fan was actually on the bottom so it could keep drawing the heat out, the heat that's rising, and suck it out through the air, through the exhaust vent of the power supply. But then they figure, well, let's put it on the bottom because that'll suck in cold air and it'll, because it's to cool the internal parts or the internal components of the power supply. It's not meant to cool the inside of the computer. That's not what the fan is for. So now, for some reason, I guess now that cases have vents on the top, some of the case manufacturers have gone back to actually putting the power supplies back on the top. And there are some manufacturers that do that. When I saw it, I was thinking, well, why are they doing that? Because I'm used to power supply being on the bottom. But once again, now they have vents on the top. So now you can have the power supply suck cool air through the top and blow the heat from the power supply out through the vent. So whether it's from the bottom or the top, it really doesn't matter. But I know a lot of people like to put liquid cooling, whether it's on the top or the front. So the top or the bottom, the power supply mount does not matter. Alright, so let's get the motherboard mounted. So what you want to do is you want to take your case and lay it flat. Ugh. This is a very light case too, it's not even heavy, which is a good plus. If this works out very well, I'm going to highly recommend this case. Even if it's someone's first build, I'm going to highly recommend this case because I like it. Okay, here comes the motherboard. Oh boy, this thing is heavy. Oh, I may have to ask He-Man to come help me. Help me, He-Man, help me. Alright. Now, we need to put those standoffs in here. But first, we got to make sure to find out exactly where they go. Okay? So what you want to do first, you want to line up the motherboard to where it's going to be seated, so you'll know where to put your standoffs. So right now, that's where it should be. Okay, so inside we need 1, where's the second one? 2, 3, 4, 5. There's number 6 and hiding in the corner. There's number 7 and 8. So we need a total of 8 screws to mount this motherboard, and we also need 8 standoffs. Now I just need to know where to place these standoffs, and I'm gonna need my Fred Sanfords for this. What is that you say, Esther? You want to make sure you get the standoffs in the correct place. If you don't, oh yeah, and you try to mount that motherboard, yeah, you're probably going to be using some expletives. But, as I've stated before, and I'm going to state again, take your time with your build. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Take your time. They may say run, Forrest, run, but in this case you don't have to run. Just take your time. Enjoy your build. Because once you get it done, you're going to have fun. Alright, I want to make sure that I get this in the right place. Oops. There. That's where it goes. Alright, and it goes that hole. Alright. Second from the bottom. I dropped the motherboard. It actually slid off the side of the table. I'm looking it over. That can be a very scary moment. So I just want to make sure everything looks fine. I don't think it got to the point where, oh yes it did. Look at this, the fan is bent. See that? See how that's bent? So that's pretty significant. I don't know if I'll be able to bend that back into place. I could probably get like something like a plastic tool and probably try to pry that back up. Yeah, there's some bending of the fins here too. So it may not interfere with the performance of this. I don't think it will, but I'm going to try to get a plastic tool and try to pry that up. Okay, I wasn't able to get the fin straightened out, but I don't think it's going to have an effect on the performance of the cooling design or the computer itself. So let me go ahead and finish with the installing the standoffs on the case. I've never had this happen before. Usually I'm a lot more careful with these computer parts in this, but you know, this is just one of those moments where things can happen. And anything that can happen usually will. That would definitely get your heart racing. If you were getting sleepy or getting tired, that will wake you up. And just continue with what we're doing, because that's all we can do. So you're probably thinking, oh, it's broken, it won't work. You don't know it won't work. If you have a situation where your motherboard falls and you don't see anything, you don't hear any, like, you know how it sounds when metal hits metal, or metal hits a tile floor or steel, you hear that ting. If you don't hear any of that, you don't see anything broken or any other components, you're probably good. Usually motherboards already have the standoffs inside of them, but this one didn't. Now you don't have to use a screwdriver to put these in here. You can just finger tighten them, and they'll be fine. Just make sure you finger tighten them, because you don't want to put the screws in here. Then if you have to take the screws out, the standoff comes with it. So now the standoffs are completed. We're gonna try this again. So here we go. When you place it in, you're gonna place it in kind of like in an angle. And once you get it seated, you are going to push it towards the back. You want to make sure you're looking down here so you can see how that is lining up with the back ports of the motherboard. Now you should hear it go down in there smoothly. There is a center post here that I need to get that lined up to, and there it goes. You just heard it go clink. That means it's in there. It's seated correctly. And I gotta make sure I look at these grounding straps. See, now this is something you have to look for. There's a grounding strap that's actually inside the HDMI port or the display port down here. So you have to, that's one of the things you gotta look for. So you're gonna take it back out. You gotta make sure you take the inside of the grounding strap and you're gonna push it up. You should be able to push it up with your hand, okay, or your fingers. And make sure you check all the rest of the grounding straps and make sure they don't have any interference like that. But that can happen. That's why you want to make sure you check everything before you completely mount the motherboard. If it happens, just take it out and try again. We're going to try this again. Take it in. I'm going to take it in at an angle. So there's a center post here in the middle, and I'm just going to make sure that I see that center post. And when I see that, it should click right into place. I see the post. There, it just sat. So it's correctly inserted. So these should be the 8 screws I need to mount the motherboard to the case. And you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this that came with the Mugen 5 cooler because it's got a long shaft. I don't have anything that's long. This is actually longer, so I can use it. But it's just got this fat end on it, and this is a little smaller. So, not to mention, I want to use this anyway. I kind of want to use this anyway. Kind of like giddy about using it. This already comes magnetized. But just to make certain, I'm just going to run it through to make sure. And this is a key time when to use a magnetized screwdriver, because you can drop, these screws will easily fall into this case. And then you're going to be desperate in trying to get those screws out. So, and once again, like everything, you just want to get it started. Once you feel it tighten, or once you feel it starting to screw in correctly, you can just go ahead and start with another screw. You want to start in opposite corners. So I got everything started. Now you can go back and you can just tighten everything down once you got all the screws in place. Now you don't have to tighten these down to the point where, you know, it's like, oh, it's no, I don't want it to fall out. Just tighten it, and once it stops, once that screw stops, that's it. Do not proceed any further, because if you do, you can strip the heads off the screw, and the next thing you know, how you gonna get the motherboard out? And that's it. The motherboard is now attached. So now, I'm going to bring this power supply over. Okay, I'm back. Now I'm going to mount the case shroud to the power supply. You should see people's faces when they ask me. It's like, hey, listen, can you build me a computer? I was like, yeah. So if I get the parts, will you build it for me? I said, no. What? And they get blown away. I was like, no. I tell them, no, you're gonna build it. I don't know how to build a computer. I said, no, you don't. I'm gonna learn you. I'm gonna show you how to build a computer. If I know the person's capable, I'm not gonna try to snatch everybody up to learn, working on a computer, how to build on a computer. It's just those who I feel, after I talk with them for a while, who I know are capable, I'll let them know, no, you're gonna build your own computer. It's not hard. And I'll even go as far as asking them the question, do you know how to turn a screwdriver? Of course, yeah. Alright. Do you know how to connect the male and female wire together? I'm like, yeah, that's how I got kids. Okay, alright, okay. So if you know how to do all that, guess what? You already know how to put together a computer. You just need to have someone show you the ropes, the directions, and where to put those connections. And that's it. I kind of like this power supply shroud. It's something different. I've never had this before, so especially with these screws, because then all you do is just once you get that in there, you just tighten up these thumb screws here. That's it. The power supply is actually in there. That's it. Thumb screw, thumb screw. That's it. Power supply is installed. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We're getting there, people. We are getting there. The easiest part of the entire build that a lot of people find intimidating. You see all these wires back here? All these connections. These wires right here. We have to connect them to the motherboard. You have all these wires, and you have all these wires. The good news is you won't be using all these wires. You will most likely be using all of these wires, but not all of these wires. Are you with me? In this area, you want to focus on where to feed these cables. The trick is to get these wires through a hole up under here where it can fit the motherboard, where it can plug into the motherboard. There are holes down here. There's one here, there's one here, and there's another back here. Now these holes are specifically designed so that you can get your front umbilical wires to connect to the motherboard headers through these holes. You usually have audio ports back here, USB, and then your front umbilicals for your power, your reset, your USB 3, and your headphones and microphone jack. But there are some motherboards that actually put the front the headers back here in the middle somewhere. I know my MSI board, I think MSI does that. But most motherboard manufacturers have the front umbilical connections right here in the front. When I get his hard drive, I'm going to actually feed it into a SATA port over here instead of down here. I could, but I don't need to when there are SATA ports here. Now there is a USB 3 right here, connection right here. And there's another right here. So you can use either one. I'll probably just use this USB 3 right here instead of feeding it down here. And this is the audio right there. That's the audio port right there. Now, since considering the USB 3 is right here, I'm going to go ahead and feed that through this area. And so it's up near the 24-pin power connector, so that's going to go there. The 24-pin power connector, which is the biggest. Look at the size of that thing. how big it is. Alright. Now, when you connect this 24-pin power cable to the motherboard, there's a notch right here on it. And it's a clip. So it's to secure the cable to the motherboard since it's the cable. Now, the notch on the motherboard is always facing towards the front of the case. So you don't have to worry about what a notch is, but it's always facing the case. So all you have to do is just orient this cable to fit in the direction of where that connection cable, that notch is, that catch. Okay, there we go. Now you should hear a click. You probably didn't hear it, but it clicked. It clicked in place. Now it's there. Now you connect the USB 3.0. USB 3.0 also has a notch. Oops, right here. It has a notch. You can probably see it. See that little notch? That also goes towards the front of the case. Now, this is just friction fit. There's no latch. There's no click. You just push it on until it doesn't go anymore. And try not to wiggle it because you can damage the pins that are on here. So when you put it on, just make sure it just goes on. And once it stops, it stops. It's not going any further. Now you probably heard some clicking going on, but that's because I kind of wiggled it to get it on there. But it doesn't mean that anything is damaged. That's just the sound it makes. But it's fine. It is on there. It is flush. It's not going to lock, but you'll feel it go flush. Okay? So now that's on there. And I can push some of this cable through too, where I can take up some of the slack from this 24-pin power cable, so to make it look nicer and neater when it comes to cable management. So now you can see, if I grab my flashlight, lightsaber, you can see how it looks. See how nice and clean it already looks? And that's it. That's it for that. Now we got to get to the bottom to get to the umbilicals for the front. So we're going to be taking the rest of these. So it should be this is the fan. This is the fan. This should be either, this is the audio, HD audio, and then these three, four rather, should be four. They let you know exactly what they are. It's probably kind of hard to tell, but this is the power LED. This is, oh yeah, power LED positive and negative. Reset switch. Hard drive LED. And power switch. Trying to get at these pins sometimes, it can be a daunting task, especially when it's dark in there and you can't really see. This this fan connector's got to go inside here where it can connect to a fan header. Push these through under the bottom. The audio port is back here, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get. Oh, there it goes. Oh, don't be wrong. There it goes. Beautiful. Right. Don't you just love modern technology the way it is today? Can you imagine trying to do this back in the early 80s? Maybe even the 90s? Oh, wow. I think some people would have just threw in the towel. Like, oh, forget that. I'm not doing all that. It's just too much work. Indeed, indeed, indeed. However, there are some of us who are so freaking persistent about getting things like this taken care of. We're stubborn that way. So for us, it's like no retreat, no surrender. Did anybody see that movie, No Retreat, No Surrender? Well, if you haven't, check it out. It's actually pretty good. And the special guest star that's in it, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yes, he is in the movie. It's back in, I think it came out in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. But if you get a chance, check it out. Jean-Claude Van Damme is actually not the star in the movie. There's a no-name person that's in it. But Jean-Claude is actually in the movie, and it's actually pretty good. So if you get the chance, check it out. Check it out. It's worth it. I haven't seen it in so long, but I'll never forget it. Never forget that movie. Okay, so now we have our wires pushed through. Now, I am going to attempt to connect the front umbilicals. However, I almost nearly forgot to connect the rear fan to the motherboard. And I want to take care of that now. That's actually way back here. I can keep this thing. It's back here. It's just in. Where's my. Hang on, I gotta get my lightsaber. It's right behind the cooler here. It's right in this area right here. So let me try to connect that first, and this is actually in a very tight spot. So right there is where I need to be, because it is the chassis fan connection. So, and there it goes. Just went on. Now I gotta zip tie this up so it doesn't get in the way of the fan and cause any problems. Right here is where I'll be working. So I need to zip tie this up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Some people have even gone to the length of actually placing it in other areas where it'll be like out of the way. In this case, there. You want to try to get it as close as you can, but don't want to cut the fan. So most likely I won't be using this top expansion area. So I'm just going to try to tuck the fan's cable in there, out of the way. Now it's you can see it. But it's not hanging down, and all I did was just put it right in between the expansion slot cover, right up here and underneath the fan, and it should be okay. As long as it's not going to be doing any moving, it should be okay. Okay, now we have to get these front umbilicals installed, connected. The first thing I'm going to connect is the USB 3, since it's right there. I was able to bring the wires through. So here is the USB 3, and it connects. I'm sorry, this is the audio. I'm okay. This is the audio. So it's going to go right there in that pin slot right there. So you want to make sure that on the front point audio connector, or the audio connector, there's a covering on the pinholes. So you have 5 across the top and 4 across the bottom. But on the 4 on the bottom, there's a hole where, I'm going to see if I can show it to you. You see that where it's covered up? So that tells you that on the motherboard there is a pin missing. Now the pin missing on the motherboard is actually on the top. You can probably see it. So you want to orientate the audio connector so that the hole that is covered is on the top. And then you just plug it straight on. Make sure you get it right. It's only going to go on that one way. So even if you try to put it on the wrong way, it's not going to work. And sometimes you miss it, which is what I've done. So you want to make sure you get it right. Once again, I'm losing sunlight, so I'm having to try to get this right by plugging it in the correct way. Let me make sure that I didn't miss the pins again. Nope, I didn't miss them. But it came out, so let me try that again. There it goes. There it goes. Alright, so now that's plugged in. And that's the audio for the front, which is your headphone and microphone jack. Now we are going to be going to the, this is another fan header plug right here, and according to the manual there's one here, so we can plug that in right now, which goes right here. And this is once again is a three-point connection, but we can plug a 3-point on the 4-point. You just won't use one of the other pins on here. So let me get it zoomed in to where you can see where I am. So there, that's probably a little better. This might be a little tough, but just plug it straight on. May give you a little resistance, but that's it. Now we have to connect the power LED, the power switch, reset switch, and the hard drive LED. It's actually written on the motherboard which is which. If I zoomed you in, you can actually see the writing that's on here. Now the writing is small, so if you have to, revert to your owner's manual. So this shows you which is which. It shows you hard drive LED, positive and negative, the power LED, the power switch, power reset, and the there's another power LED there as well. And then there's a speaker, but usually everything goes right along with each other. If the power LED does not light up when you plug it in on this side, then try plugging it in on the other side. But usually all the power umbilicals go right on top of each other. The first one that we want to connect is the hard drive LED. We can do that. Don't worry about the cable management right now. You'll get all that sorted out once you get all your cables connected. Okay. I always do that last. That's something you don't have to worry about doing now. Alright, so we're going to connect the hard drive LED first, and the hard drive LED positive is going to be closest to this SATA connection right here, the SATA port. So in this case, the hard drive LED has both a positive and a negative on it. It's all on one end. So the positive is to the left and the negative is to the right. So all you want to do is orient it to that position. So, and you just plug it straight on. Now we are going to connect the reset switch, which goes right next to it. I had to check something because apparently there's a storm moving in, and I just had to check for that. So I'm going to try to finish this up and we need the power switch and the power LED. We can do the power LED, and once again the positive is to the left and negative is to the right. It's positive. Get on now. Positive. And negative. Make sure these are on firmly, or you may not get the results that you're looking for. And then finally the power button or the power switch, which is right next to it. Okay, that's it. Your front umbilicals, your fans are all connected. So if you want, you can try to pull some of these cables through, try to make it look somewhat neater, cleaner. Just don't pull too hard, because if you're pulling one that's already tight, then you could risk disconnecting it. Okay, now that doesn't look too bad. Not too bad at all. Let me get you zoomed in. That's what we have to get the power connector to. You want to look for the cable that says CPU. You got a whole bunch of these that say PCI. You don't want to use that one. That's for your graphics card. You want to find the one that says PCI. You want to find the one that says CPU. I think now you're starting to understand why I don't do tutorials. So, but I wanted this to, I just wanted this for a first time deal. Okay? As a matter of fact, here it is right here. You see it? Hi. Come on, True. You're welcome. Alright. So, let me zoom in. Now, this can be one of the tightest places where a cable can rest, and where you can, where you have to plug this cable in. So, you have to take the cable and you have to orient it to where this top portion here of the cable goes to the top portion of the connector. So you got to try to, and this cable is kind of tight, so you have to orientate it up and try to plug it until you hear it click. And this is going to be kind of a tight fit, but as I've said, there's a lot of room in here. I've got it there, I just got to clip it, get it clipped on. There, I got it. I've got it. Okay. See it? It's connected. Alright. Now, this chip does have onboard graphics, so technically we can actually plug this in now and just see if it works, which is what you want to do. Once you get all your connections connected, you want to make sure that you do a post test, a power on self test, just to make sure all your connections are working okay. I am going to go grab myself a monitor. Okay, unfortunately there is a storm moving in, so I'm probably just going to have time to do a power on self test just to make sure all the components are working, and I'll try to go as much as I can to try to get Windows 10 installed. and actually probably try to do a BIOS update, and if the weather is permitting, but it's thundering, and usually when thundering is heard, there's some lightning involved, so let me see about getting that taken care of right now. Okay, so I got everything plugged in, so I'm just going to flip the power switch on the back of the power supply, and as you can see, I have power lights on the motherboard. Let's see if she starts up. Here we go. Fans are turning. I'm going to bring in a little closer. Now, it's going to shut on or shut off several times because it's very quiet. Wow. I mean, you can't hear anything from this computer. So it's probably going to shut down and restart several times during your first initial post. Once everything clears, you should be in the BIOS. It's a nice, that's very nice, and it's quiet. It's very quiet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch the power on and see if it works. She's got LEDs on the motherboard running. Let's see. Fans are turning. Let's see if I get anything on the screen. Aha, there we go. Boom, we in the BIOS. Cool. And let's see if we can zoom in and get you a close looky up at what we got. Well, the date is wrong, but don't worry about that. Date and the time. Don't worry about that. We have BIOS version 2804. Speed is 37 megahertz. 3.7 gigahertz on the processor. Memory is 16 gigs. DDR4 speed is 2133 megahertz. That's the base speed of motherboards. When you get memory speed that's more than that, then you have to do what's called extra memory profile enable XMP mode, which I am going to do. You have the two DIMM slots with G.Skill. Each has 8 gigabytes of memory. Base run clock 2133 megahertz. XMP mode is disabled. You have the two fans, the front and the rear, that are turning. What I probably want to do first is update the BIOS. I'd rather do that first before I engage XMP mode. I just downloaded the updated BIOS. I have the USB flash drive connected to it, and it may be in a tool portion. There it is. Storage drive. Next. So this is the new one right here that I just downloaded. Actually, I'm sorry, this is the newest one. Click yes. Do you really want to update the BIOS? It's asking. Yes. And there it goes. It's now flashing the BIOS. Do not touch anything during this point. Sometimes it takes longer, but as fast as the system is, it just did everything itself. Now, let me back you out because I want you to look at something. The computer will start and stop on its own. This is what it does when it's updating the BIOS. Do not touch anything. Let it finish. I don't understand. This is the fastest BIOS update I've ever seen. Detected the SanDisk drive that I have, but it also detected the Samsung SSD 970 Evo Plus. So that's good news. Okay, we're back in the BIOS. And I want to make sure that we have the latest BIOS version. It says 2804, which I think is the same version that I downloaded, which is probably why it installed so quickly. So that's fine. That is totally fine. That means we're up to date. So XMP mode is here. It's going to ask you, do you wish to enable it? So when you click on this, it should give you several different versions of, it should enable XMP mode. So you click enable, and it's going to give you all this gobbledygook about would you like to enhance system performance with the XMP settings, and click yes, and it worked. So if you look over here, you can see now it's saying XMP DDR4 3200 megahertz. So now, even though up here it's saying memory is 2133 megahertz, it's going to say that until you actually restart the computer. From there, you can hit F10, which will save your information. Now I know my keyboard is connected, but it may not be. And I'll have to check it, because I thought my keyboard wasn't enabled. Let me make sure I have batteries in it. I may not have batteries in it. Sorry. Yep, I have no batteries in here. What in the world am I doing? Okay, so I'm going to shut this off. I should have been checking my equipment. I have the Windows 10 USB installed in the back of the computer. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and we can commence with installing Windows 10. I actually have batteries in my keyboard now, and now we can do this. Now the BIOS update, have XMP mode enabled. Now we may commence with getting Windows 10 installed. I still don't have the graphics card installed, and I will do that afterwards. So this is going to be a 64-bit install. So we'll do that. There was some negative reviews about this particular motherboard. I don't know why. It's been a while since I've looked at those reviews, but people were giving it negative reviews. I mean, I know it's too soon to tell right now, but I'm just hoping that the person that this is going to, I hope it gives him a lot of life. I hope it doesn't give him any problems. ASUS is pretty good about their motherboards, so I don't really think that he'll have a problem with just, he's probably not going to be doing any gaming on it. He's just going to be doing a lot of his video editing, so he's not going to be putting any strain on the computer or the processor. So he should be okay. So from here, we're going to go next. Install now. But I think he's going to be happy. The person who this is going to, I think he's going to be happy. I don't have a product key right now. I do, but I don't. And I'm going to put Pro on here. That'll give him a few more options to work with. Going to accept the terms. Next. Customize installed. It's found a 500 gigabyte drive. Going to go next, and now it's going to install. So far, I'm very happy with the way this is going. I couldn't be more prouder. I just honestly cannot wait for the reaction, his reaction, or even their reaction. They deserve it. They're very good people. Known them since 2002. It's something that's been on my mind and my heart for a long time, and I'm just happy to help someone out. You know, there's been times when I've needed help. There was a moment where I was in Walmart years ago, and I was at the counter trying to purchase something, and I was a penny off. And I think I was 10 cents off. It wasn't a penny, I was 10 cents off. And this old gentleman behind me with his wife, he actually reached in his pocket and he provided the 10 cents. And I was very thankful. And he didn't have to do that. But when people do that type of kindness towards you, in your mind, you ought to be willing to give that back. Now, not necessarily to the person who gave to you or helped you out, but to someone else. And to me, that stuck with my mind, and it still sticks in my mind to this day. And that's been a long time ago. We're talking about probably over 30 years ago. So I'm giving back. To me, I want to give back to my community, to those who I know. And I do what I can to try to, if I can, to help people out the best I can. And if it works out, it works out. And so we should be trying to help each other in the best way we know how. So this install is nearly done. And once Windows gets installed, I'm going to connect the Wi-Fi to it, which it has a Wi-Fi adapter to it. So when this shuts down, I'm going to connect the Wi-Fi to it, because Windows is going to want to connect wirelessly. But I may just wait until, well, actually I can restart now. But actually, I like this. This case is good. I'm very surprised. I know there's still some plastic that's on the case, and you can probably see it. It's right there. You can probably see the reflection of it. I'll take that off. I'm just trying to get Windows installed right now, and I was trying to kind of rush it because there was a storm moving in, and I wanted to get that out the way. But so far, you know, everything's going fine. It's I couldn't be more happy with the way that the build is going. The process, I believe the owner will have a good time with this computer. He will get a lot of life out of it, and I'm just hoping that it fits him for what it is that he wants to do with it, and I'm sure it will. So, and now we're at the fun part, where we have to put in all the yes and the no's and the maybes and the has-beens and the I don't want that crap and no and skips. And how you doing now? It does find my network even though the antenna is not there, but I don't want to do that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put the person's name there. Make sure I get it right, because if I spell it wrong, he's going to have my head. Next, don't want a password. He can put that in himself when he gets this computer. I'm going to turn off everything but location. Location, you want to leave that turned on, because what will happen is when your computer gets booted up and when it gets connected to the internet, the location will allow Windows to get your location and get the correct time zone, date, and time. So you want to keep that on. Make sure everything else is turned off, or say no to everything else. Click accept. I don't want to do more devices. No. They're probably going to ask me, are you sure? No, I don't want to do that. Let's just get it installed. And hi, how you doing? And then we'll go from there. Everything is getting ready for you. This may take several minutes, but if you have a fast PC, it will not. And one of the things that was kind of throwing me off was the compatibility of the memory of this particular motherboard. And the motherboard that I use, the Trident Z Royal, it wasn't listed, or for some reason. So I was able to, I figured, well, G.Skill, most G.Skill memory does work on it. And so I didn't have it doubts that this particular memory would work. There have been a lot of people that have used it, that have recently been using this memory, and they like it. It's nice memory, and it's compatible with just about, I think, almost all, if not all, motherboards. So I didn't see it on that, but I had a feeling it would work. So I don't think I had any worries about it. But it's addressable. They have presets in there. I think they have like Comet, Starry Night, just whatever the memory will do according to the design of the software. So this is ASUS Q installer, which I am not 100% sure about. Alright, so Windows is installed, pretty much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down, and I'm going to install a graphics card, and I'm going to attach the antenna. Alright, now I have the computer on a towel because I want to scratch up this table. And I probably could have done it on the Lazy Susan, but the Lazy Susan likes to turn around too much on me, and I didn't feel like fooling with that. So the case isn't heavy either. I mean, now that I have the motherboard inside, there's a little weight added to it, but it's not so much that I gotta use Hulkamania strength to get it up and over. So now I'm going to start with installing the graphics card, and it's right here. Alright, this is the Pulse Radeon RX 580. Okay, and we're going to open up this sealed box. As a matter of fact, I can probably go ahead and just set this down. Grab my trusty knife and knife that open. Mr. Box, may I please have your contents? I really need this graphics card installed. So would you please open up so I may grab it? Pretty please? My sugar on top? Hey, it worked! So now you know what to say to a boss if it doesn't want to give you its contents. And now we have another box. I may not have to ask this one. I think it's just going to give it to me. Let's see if it will. You think it will? Let's see. Look, it does. What do we have in the pretty box? We have the driver installation disc. We also have the manufacturer's contact information. How nice. Really nice of them, eh? And this apparently is there's a switch on this particular graphics card that says position 1 is gaming mode and 2 is compute mode. When switched over, according to this, when switched over to the compute BIOS, the system may become unstable in gaming applications. To ensure that settings of the BIOS are loaded into the system, a graphics driver reinstallation is recommended. Well, I tell you what we're going to do. We are going to leave it set to wherever it is. Number 1. Okay, we're not worried about one. This is the installation guide. I think we are going to not need that. Okay. So, with that being said, this is the graphics card. I'm going to put the rest of this stuff back in this box. I don't think I am going to need it. Alright, let's see what we're dealing with here. And there she is. So I just want you to take a look at it. Nice card. That's a nice graphic right there. That red and black. You have 5 outputs. There's display, I believe, and HDMI, and then DVI. We can actually take those off before we install it, because you don't want these in the way. especially if you try to install something, like if you try to plug a monitor in and you have this in the way, and then you can't because the graphics card is in the way. They probably won't use this port, but I'm going to take it off anyway because you never know. There's the plug interface right there. So, and that is an 8-plug interface. You want to just find out where your graphics card interface is, which is right here. There's two of them, but you want to use the top one because the top one is where you have the greatest speed. So you just want to mirror it for right now to see where it's going to go, and it will go between the second and the third expansion port, which is usually always the case. So you want to unscrew the second and the third expansion port covers. So you want to take your driver and make sure you get the second and third one. Now when you take these screws out, make sure you keep them because they're going to go right back into the area that they're in right now. Okay, you can also keep these covers, keep these as well, because you may need to utilize or put those back in place if you ever need to remove the graphics card, or if you even decide to, you know, maybe get a different case. If anything else, save everything. Okay, including the box that this came in. Alright, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we can insert the graphics card. And before you insert it, you want to make sure that the locking mechanism is, if you're facing it, push it to the right, because most likely it's locked to the left, and if you try to insert the graphics card when it's locked in place, you could break the tab off or you can actually damage the card. So make sure it's in the open position, push to the right before you insert it. You want to make sure that the card, the interface of the card, is facing towards the port or the computer. It's so dark in here I can't even see. So I'm gonna have to lay this down because I can't see where this card is going inside it. If you have that issue, just lay it down and then try to install it that way. Usually gravity will work with you. And I can see that it's lined up. Boom. That's it. It's now installed. Now you take your screws that you had taken out earlier to take the expansion slot covers off, and you put those back in. Now this may be the best way to put in the graphics card for some people. So if you have it upright and it doesn't seem to be working for you, just lay the case down and install the graphic card that way. And guess what? I dropped the screw. Probably should have been using this long guy right here. So let's see if we can find the screw. The magnet on this driver is still powerful. And you want to make sure that it's tight. You don't have to over tighten, you just want to make sure it's not going down. Okay. Now, I'm going to set it up again. You're not done. You're done installing it, but you're not done connecting it. You have to connect the power to it. And it's relatively simple. There's only one power cable going to it. Some have two. This one just has one 8-pin. So you want to look for the 8-pin PCI power cable. Here's one, here's another. So you have two. Whichever one, it does not matter. They're both the same thing. As long as it says PCIe, and this says PCIe. So if you want to connect like multiple graphics card, that's why they gave you two. Whichever one you choose, you're going to take that and you're going to feed it now through wherever the closest area is, closest to this. So I'm most likely going to have it come through this I'm gonna have it come through this rubber grommet right here, and then just have it go here. Let's feed it through. And here it comes. Yeah, there's another part. Come on through. There you go. Now, so this is an 8 pin, so you want to make sure that your connection is also an 8 pin. This is 6, but with these two, it can create an 8 pin. But you want to use the one that's more further out. But this is 6 also. But with this here, it makes it 8. With this 2, got 6 here and 2 here, that creates 8. So you may not have a complete 8, but it's okay. If you see a 6, like, wait a minute, they didn't give me an 8. No, it's fine. All you do is just merge these together, and you have your 8-pin connector. You want to make sure it's in the correct orientation, because this second one is not connected. So you have to make sure that it's connected to the right end. There's a clip on this power cable right here. And then there's a notch on the top of this interface right here for the graphics card. So what you can do is just go ahead and just put that on first. Oops, sorry. Ooh, that stinks, doesn't it? And then just take these two and just plug them right into those other 2 slots. And that's it. You are done. Now, the graphics card installed, we can actually turn this bad boy back on. I have a graphics card plugged in. The fans are turned on. There's no RGB on that graphics card. None at all. Why am I not seeing anything? You know what I bet I did? I bet the reason I'm not seeing anything because I didn't plug the HDMI cable into the graphics card. Now, this happens. Yeah, this happens. So let me shut it off, and I'm going to plug it into the right place. Alright, so I'm going to turn this back on again. I've reconnected it to the graphics card. Let's turn it back on. And let's see if we get a display this time. Which I hope we do. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, teeth crossed, gums crossed, and anything else that you can cross. Well, I think it worked because I'm seeing a display. And there's his name. Boom. And it's working. It's working, but I forgot to connect the Wi-Fi. Oh my gosh. How could I forget? Okay. Be back again. Hold tight. Okay. So, here is the Wi-Fi antenna. Here are the connectors. This is the stand. And I think that's actually a Stephen King novel, The Stand. I don't know anything about it, but as far as what it's about, but yeah, there is a Stephen King novel out about The Stand. So, but usually anything Stephen King makes is good anyway. So it would appear that this would go. Looks like the cables may go through the bottom, and then this sits up like that, and yes, they go through this way, and I'm not going to worry about taking the cable off right now, and then it'll actually go this way and fit into this groove, so it could be flat. Let's see if I can get it in there. There, it's in there. And then it'll sit flat on the table or wherever you have it mounted. I don't think this is magnetized, which I don't care for, because there are some stands that come magnetized. This one does not come magnetized, so that's kind of I find that to be a bit of a con for this. But then all you do is take these two end clips and connect the back. Okay, the antenna is now connected, so we should be able to get a signal now, a better signal. So I just have to connect it to my internet. We'll have to download and install the drivers for this particular graphics card. Okay, I am connected to the network, and I am going to, right now it's downloading the ASUS Q installer successfully. I'm not exactly what that is, but I think it may have something to do with the motherboard system. Driver installers. Okay, that's what it is. I've never seen it to where the motherboard actually, usually have your motherboard drivers, but manufacturers of motherboards have now been making it so that you can actually, some of them don't even put the disk in there because optical drives are not really being utilized as much anymore. So you just go to the manufacturer's website, go to support, put in what motherboard you have, and download the drivers and utilities, and you're good. Now Windows 10 has it to where it automatically downloads the drivers for you as well. However, some people have had issues with that, and if it works, it works. I don't like that. I like doing it myself, so I know that I'm installing the correct drivers. Not saying that Microsoft doesn't, but I personally like to be the one to download the drivers and install. I'm very old school. I like doing things like that myself. I can do it myself, but I'm sure it helps people who are not that tech savvy, who don't know the steps, that you can go to the website and download drivers for your computer, your printer, your scanner, almost any computing device that's made. You can actually go back to the manufacturer and download the drivers for it, because everyone is going green, and that's fine. It just will suck if you don't have internet connection. But fortunately, most people do, and it's good that a lot of these companies are also giving, since this COVID thing is broken out for a lot of the schools, a lot of the parents, or maybe not, of these children, the household may not have internet connection because they can't afford it. So a lot of these companies like Comcast, AT&T, and so forth, CenturyLink, they have it to where they are, for those people who have low incomes, they actually give them a discount on the internet service for their household, which I think is a very novel idea. I think that's a benefit that will help out, because a lot of schools now have given the children tablets, Chromebooks, and Chromebooks need internet connection. They won't connect any other way. There's not even a network port in those Chromebooks that they give out, but you still need internet in order to connect to a network port. So with that, you need to have internet. So I think that's a good thing that they're doing. I personally appreciate that, because we still need to educate our children, and we shouldn't have them pay for their education in a way that their parents cannot afford internet connection because they're trying to take care of their household. And to some families, internet access is not a priority. Some people are barely making ends meet to where they can, keep a roof over their head, keep the lights on, and keep food on the table and clothes on their backs. That's it. So I really like the idea that these internet providers stepped up, and decided to help out these families. Very noble cause. Okay, it completed the install of the drivers, and I have to do a reboot, or a restart, rather. And do a restart of that. I'm probably going to not be doing any benchmarking on this computer. I could, but I'm not going to be doing that with this. That's not what you know, that's not why I got this. I, I got this for, as a charity for someone, and it's not going to be, it's going to be doing some video editing, but I'm not going to worry about doing any of those benchmarkings or anything like that. Um, and so, as far as I'm concerned, it's working. Everything is working. Graphics card is installed. It's working fine, as you can see. I'm going to redo the cable management, and I have to leave one for the hard drive installation, which where the 4 terabyte HDD drive for storage will be in tomorrow. And that won't be on camera. I'm just going to slip that in, connect it, and start the computer up, make sure it sees it, and that'll be it. The computer will be completed. So thank you guys for joining me. I know this went a little lengthy, and but this was well worth the wait. As you can tell, everything went fine, no problems, no issues, and a successful build for a charity. So thank you guys again. You all take care, be safe, peace out.